Welcome to this explainer. Let's jump right into it today, because we're unpacking a deeply emotional story that, well, it completely shatters traditional financial advice. You know how we're constantly told the exact same things about securing our future, save, 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 right? Well, the source material we're looking at today flips that conventional wisdom totally on its head. It's a powerful narrative about a grandfather, his grandson, and a really hard-learned lesson about how to actually build wealth rather than just hoarding it. So if you've ever felt like you're working incredibly hard but just not getting ahead, this is going to completely change the way you look at your finances.
Never save money. I mean, wow, those were the actual shocking first words this grandfather told his grandson. Do not just save money, make money grow. When you first hear that, it sounds completely backward, doesn't it? Everybody says, save for the future. It's basically the golden rule of personal finance. But this grandfather, he just smiled and rejected that idea entirely. Now, to understand why he gave this seemingly crazy advice and why it's actually brilliant, we have to look back at the really difficult journey that got him there.
And that brings us to our first major theme: dreams versus reality.
So in his early life, the villagers literally considered this grandfather nothing more than a lazy dreamer. He'd spend his days just sitting under a big tree, staring up at the sky, dreaming that someday he'd open a shop, buy cows, and become a rich man, the whole shebang. But he never actually worked for it. And the harsh reality? While he was out there dreaming, his hardworking wife was struggling to keep the house running. And worse, his little grandson was walking around barefoot, thin, and just hungry. Their food cupboard was completely empty. No bread, no rice, nothing. The village didn't even laugh at him anymore. They just pitied him.
This brings us to a major breaking point. One night, his starving grandson asked him, super softly, if they had any bread. And looking at this hungry little boy, the grandfather felt this agonizing pain in his chest. It was in that exact moment he had a painful but totally necessary realization. Dreams alone do not feed a family. Hoping and wishing for a better future without actually doing anything, that was literally starving the people he loved. He couldn't even sleep that night. He knew right then and there something had to change immediately.
So he abandoned his comfy spot under the tree and went straight to work in the dry fields. And the physical toll was brutal. Absolutely brutal. We're talking hot sun beating down on dry land all day, lifting incredibly heavy tools, his back constantly ached, his feet literally burned from the scorching ground, and his hands became completely hard and rough. Every single night, he'd come home totally exhausted, all to earn this tiny, meager amount of money so his wife could cook, a few beans or tortillas for the family.
But here is where the story takes a fascinating turn. Let's look at the next phase, the glass jar trap. Despite all this back-breaking labor, the grandfather realized something incredibly sad. Working hard for a wage just wasn't fixing the root problem. The money came in, and bam, it instantly went right back out for food, medicine, and bills. The family was still hungry. The roof still leaked. Earning just wasn't enough. So hoping to find some kind of financial safety, he overheard some guys at the village store talking about the power of saving. They said, when you save, you are safe. Taking this to heart, he found an old glass jar and hid it under his bed. Every week, he sacrificed basic needs just to drop a few coins inside. Hearing that clink-clink sound gave him so much hope. When his grandson asked about it, he proudly said, "This is our tomorrow." They ate less, he wore shoes with holes in them, they went without, all to fill this jar.
Finally, after months and months of painful sacrifice, the jar was full. The grandfather felt so proud, so ready for the future. He walked into the market, slammed that heavy jar of money on the table, and confidently asked for 3 sacks of corn. But the shopkeeper just shook his head. He told him that his entire jar of savings, all that sacrifice, would now only buy 1.5 sacks of corn. Not 3, 1.5.
The shopkeeper explained that prices had simply gone up. And this, right here, perfectly illustrates the silent wealth killer we all face: inflation. Money loses value over time. When prices go up, the cash you saved buys significantly less than it could before. The grandfather was devastated. His money had lost its power. He realized that saving cash in a jar was incredibly slow, and while it just sat there doing nothing, life got more expensive. Stagnant cash was literally making him poorer.
This devastation, though, sparked a tiny seed of an idea. Let's move on to the egg factory solution.
Defeated, he was sitting outside and noticed his neighbors peacefully walking by, carrying milk and eggs. They weren't stressed out. They weren't panicking about the price of corn. So he took his jar of devalued money and actually did something about it. First, he bought a few thin chickens. His grandson was thrilled, calling them their new egg factory. As the chickens laid eggs, the family finally had food to eat, and crucially, they had surplus eggs to sell. Then, and this is the genius part, he took the money from those sold eggs and used it to buy even more chickens. And what happened? Slowly, the chickens grew, and slowly the money grew. By eating some eggs and selling the rest to buy more chickens, the grandfather unlocked the incredible, life-changing power of reinvesting profits. He wasn't just trading his physical labor for money anymore. His assets, the chickens, were now working for him, producing a yield that compounded over time. It's a total game changer.
This completely revolutionized the family's life, which leads us to our final, critical section, make your money grow.
The grandfather started meticulously tracking every single egg sold and every coin earned in a little notebook. Soon neighbors were coming to him to buy eggs. His house filled with hope. He went from being a lazy dreamer that everybody pitied to an active architect of his own future. One day, he held up an egg to his grandson to explain the difference between their past and their present. He said, "Look, a jar of money is finite. It can be spent until it's completely gone, and as inflation proved, it loses its value over time. But an egg is an investment. It's powerful. If you use it right, it hatches, it produces more, and it grows, like life itself." And this brings us right back to his greatest lesson to his grandson, and eventually to the whole village. Saving money is like holding water in your hands. It will slowly slip away. But if you use money to build something, even something small, it becomes bigger. He learned the hard way that merely hoarding cash is a losing battle against time and economics. To create true, lasting wealth, you absolutely must put your money to work. You have to invest it so it can multiply.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really wanted to take this powerful lesson to heart. We've seen how keeping money in a jar is a trap, and how creating an egg factory, investing in assets that actually produce value, changes everything. Saving money really is like holding water in your hands. So what will you build with yours before it slips away? How are you going to plant your own financial seeds today so they can grow tomorrow? Think about that, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.